All right, let's talk about how our one-to-one meetings directly impact performance. So many times we have those thoughts that, oh my gosh, if I spend all this time with this individual, is it really going to pay off? Or what am I going to get out of this? Or what does the company get out of this? Or should I really even do these at all? I'm here to answer the question for you. Yes, directly impact performance in so many ways. But let's start with the number one way. We build trust. So these one-to-one meetings that we have with our individual team members immediately builds trust. Now, how do we build trust? We build when we first sit down for our one-to-one meetings, we're going to take 5 to 15 minutes and just talk to them. Just get to know them a little bit better, right? Ask them about their family. Remember the old process: form, family, occupation, recreation, motivation, FORM, right? Their family. Well, maybe their kids, their kids play some soccer. Well, how did the soccer game go over the weekend? Your son's football game, did they win that? Did they win that? Or, how did he play? Did he do well? What's your side gig? Your side hustle? How's that coming along with you? What do you do when you're not here? You gone on vacation? How's that last vacation you went on? The small talk. And what are you reading right now? What's you up? What is it that you do when you're living, right? Asking those kinds of questions about their hobbies, their personal goals, their side business, their education. It's where an employee comes into play and is so important later when we want to give them corrective action, when we want to teach and we want to share, we want to train, we want to coach. If they don't know we trust them, they're just not going to listen. Right? They're just not going to listen at all. And that's how it works. So we want to make sure we spend the time, invest the time in our people to find out about them as human beings. We want to go into their long-term benchmarks that we've talked about over time. Are they moving towards it? Are they striving for it? Are they making that significant progress that we're looking for? And again, this is big picture level, right? We're looking at overall big picture. If we're in it for the long haul, have they made another step towards it? Have they made another step towards it? And then another step towards that long-term goal that they're shooting for? What about their projects? Project updates, finding out about what's going on with the current project they're working on. Are they making the kind of progress that they need to make? What are the updates? Let's review the data, regular follow-up with their individual development plan. How are we coming? Are they learning the new skills? Are they learning the new things? Long-term growth approach, right? We're really getting in there and finding out, are they following the steps that we've laid out for them to follow and that they have also laid out for themselves to follow, right? And we're just following through with the development of their new skills. What is it? Who do they need to learn from? How are they going to learn that skill? Are they seeking that knowledge out? Are they attending a course? Or are they attending a conference? Or are they seeking out the learning that's going to develop the skill they're going to need for the next level, right? Next, we want to talk about their daily work priorities. Well, what are they? Because if they're following one course of action when it comes to daily priorities, and we have a different level of daily priorities that we want to set for them, this is where we find out what is it that they're doing. We're going to talk about customer issues. How are they handling them? Time-sensitive matters. Anything that has to do with execution and behavior, we want to ask a lot of questions around their daily processes, their daily thought process. How do they handle things? What is their decision-making process? How do they decide to do this versus this? How do they set their priorities? This is where we can, and then we can fill in the gaps as they answer those questions for us. It becomes very, very important as the coach. That's our role, right? That's our role, is to share the wisdom from having done what they're doing in the past to be able to fill in the gaps. All right. Now, the next piece comes to, how can I help you? We have to let them understand that it is safe for them to ask us for help. That's what we're there for, right? We're there to serve. We're there to give and to help any way we possibly can. So we want to serve any way possible. Right? So how can I help you? We send that signal by simply saying, how can I help? I'm here for you. What can I do for you? Right? All right. Now, when it comes to the follow-up, make sure they own the follow-up. So when it comes down to writing the list of what our follow-up agenda is going to be, you as the leader do not set that follow-up agenda. Remember, they now, and they are going to send you an email of what you talked about and the follow-up that's needed for the metrics that we're talking about. Why is that so important? Because if I set it, who owns it? If I set the agenda, I own the agenda. Therefore, who has to follow up? I have to follow up with them. Forget that. No. They own the follow-up, and they are to report back to me. They are to return and report their findings, their follow-up, the things that they're following through on, because they're setting that final follow-up agenda. And then as they read it back to us, then we can fill in the gaps if we're not on the same page as to what the expectation is. All right. I hope this is helpful for you. But again, these one-to-one meetings, they directly impact performance. You can't argue with the data. In fact, there's a great resource out there called The Coaching Effect. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend that you read it. It's a great book. But in this book, it just really talks about, this is one of the processes he talks about is the one-to-one meeting. So it's a great resource for. But in all the one-to-one I've had over my career in leadership, vital that we get to know the person first. Get to know the people as more than just an employee, but get to know them as the individual that they are, number one. Number two, let's talk about their long-term goals. It's not just about work goals. It's also about their personal goals. As a leader, our job is to help them build, help them grow, and become more than what they could on their own. Next, we want to counsel and advise. We want to coach, counsel, and advise based on the feedback and the answers to the questions they're giving us as we ask effective questions. We're learning about their process priorities, and then making it safe for them to ask us for help. And then we're putting the follow-up back onto them. Very, very important. I really appreciate you guys for watching today. And I hope that this has been meaningful for you. Have your one-to-one meetings. All the data shows that they're more productive, more effective teams as